We're not here to be perfect. We're here to be real. Welcome to Your Auntie Talk Sex, the space where we talk about intimacy, emotion, and the layers in between. No awkwardness, no hype, just real talk. Let's get into it. They say sex work is the oldest profession, but maybe it's just the most honest one. In one study, researchers gave capuchin monkeys silver discs they could trade for treats. It didn't take long for a male monkey to offer a token to a female, and she responded by having sex with him. Then she took the disc and bought grapes. That was it. The moment currency entered the monkey world, so did sex work. And while we humans like to think of ourselves as more evolved, that little monkey moment says a lot about sex, about value, about survival. So let's talk about sex work, not from a place of judgment or scandal, but through the lens of consent, choice, and complexity. Some people choose sex work with clear eyes. It pays better than their alternatives. It offers flexibility. It gets them through school, or it lets them make enough to travel, create art, or support a family on their own terms. Others stumble into it. Maybe someone posts feet pics online, finds a niche. Maybe they're on a weight gain fetish site, like one woman featured on My 600-Pound Life, who was paid to eat on camera. For some, it starts as curiosity or quick money and becomes a lifestyle. And yes, there are those who end up in it because they had few choices: poverty, addiction, past trauma, or being failed by systems that should have protected them. So how do we talk about sex work honestly? By refusing to flatten all sex workers into one story. By recognizing both exploitation and empowerment. And by listening to people's real voices. Worldwide, it's estimated that there are over 40 million sex workers, and around 80% are women. In the U.S., a 2020 report showed that about 1 million people engage in sex work in some form, from escorting to online content. But here's the interesting part. In New Zealand, where sex work has been legal and regulated since 2003, sex workers report higher safety, better health outcomes, and more ability to refuse unsafe clients. Interestingly, there's been no increase in the number of people entering sex post-decriminalization. Compare that with countries where it's criminalized and underground, and the risk of violence, coercion, and poor health skyrockets. So clearly the laws matter, but so does culture. Same job, two very different systems. One sees them as human beings, the other as criminals. Whether you're in the work or love someone who is, there's one core question. Is this a healthy relationship with the work? Healthy doesn't mean easy. It means consensual. It means not coerced. It means there are boundaries and some control over how, when, and with whom. If it's taking a toll on your body, your mental health, or your sense of self, that's not judgment. That's a signal to pause and reassess. We live in a world where people pay for connection in 100 forms: dinners, dating apps, even therapists. Sex work just happens to say the quiet part out loud. It's not for everyone, but neither is factory work or retail or any job that asks you to package yourself in a certain way. And maybe, just maybe, talking about sex work without shame helps all of us reflect on how we give, take, and value intimacy. Because as it turns out, it's not the world's oldest profession because it's dirty. It's because it works. We hear so much about sex. How to have more. How to have it better. Where, when, with whom, and what it says about us. But today let's talk about something quieter. Someone wrote in, not with a question, but a story. They haven't had sex in years, not because of trauma, not because they're ill, not because they've taken a vow of celibacy, just because they're not that into it. They still enjoy occasional self-pleasure, but the idea of sex with another person, it doesn't appeal. It hasn't for a long time, and they're wondering, is that common? Age-related? Now let's be honest. In a culture that treats sex like a measure of aliveness, where sexless marriages get side-eyed, and virginity past a certain age is treated like a tragic backstory, this can feel like you're missing something essential. But let's reframe it. Because libido, just like hunger, laughter, or sleep, doesn't show up the same for everyone. Some people crave steak, some crave salad, some want dessert at every meal, and some, they're just not that hungry, and that's okay. There's a word some people use, asexual. And like anything human, it exists on a spectrum. Some people feel no sexual attraction. Others do, but rarely, or under specific emotional circumstances. Some enjoy intimacy. Others don't care for it. Some want partnership. Others don't. So how common is this? Estimates suggest that around 1 to 2% of the population identifies as asexual, meaning they experience little to no sexual attraction to others. This percentage might be higher if you include people who don't use the label but experience similar feelings. For example, very low desire, disinterest in sex, or conditional attraction. More recent surveys, such as those by AVEN, the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, and research also from the Kinsley Institute suggests the number could be 2 to 4%, especially among our younger generation. The point isn't the label. The point is the freedom to know yourself, to accept your rhythms, to not make desire or the lack of it into a measure of worth, and know you're not broken. Desire can change over time. Some people are wildly sexual in their 20s and completely uninterested by 40. Others are the opposite. Some research suggests as many as 1 in 10 Gen Z individuals ages 18 to 25 identify as somewhere on that asexual spectrum. Life circumstances, hormone shifts, emotional energy, all of that matters. Older individuals may experience low or no sexual attraction, but they often don't label it as asexuality. They might interpret it as low libido, hormonal changes, or just not being into it anymore. When my generation was younger, the judgments were harsh, like frigid, not man enough, or cold fish. The question isn't, am I normal? It's, am I okay with myself? Do I feel at peace? Am I living in a way that feels mine? Because there is no rule that says your life must include sex to be full. And there is no timeline that says desire has to follow a certain arc. Maybe your energy shows up in other ways, through creativity, caretaking, movement, imagination. Maybe what you want most is not climax, but quiet, or solitude, or safety, or simplicity. And that's not less than. That's just yours. So whether you're wildly sexual, mildly interested, or simply uninterested, this is your reminder that desire doesn't define you. You do. And if you're living in a way that feels authentic, then you're already doing it right. I'd love to hear what this stirred up for you. Your stories, your reflections, your own questions. Remember, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to be real. Until next time.